Yeah. I started recording. Is it fine?
Okay.
Okay, I started recording. Okay, so because then it can be shared on any of the platforms, not only LinkedIn and everything. These are very important points that you are talking about. I'm so happy that you're mentioning it, offshoring, especially offshoring. And last time we were talking, you mentioned to the geopolitical issues right now, how they are impacting biotech and pharma's business models. I remember the first time I read your article about the different business models in biotech, and there was a long list that you have created. It was the most complete list that I have ever seen. Since then I haven't seen more complete still. So you might be proud of that list still today. Yeah, I don't know what has happened to that list since then. Do you think that they are merged? They are shortened. This list is nowadays more, let's say, shorter. It is, I don't know, they are more platform based, at least about the biotech, or there are, let's say, today I wanted to do a quick search about if there are some biotech companies that we can call them, their business model is AI based, but I couldn't reach to 100%, certainty if we can call their business models. Maybe it's hybrid, partially dependent on AI, but I cannot tell you that's 100% sure. But we will see. This is something that will happen.
I think the extent of the list you refer to that I published about is still valid, because the original traditional business model of blockbusters is still out there. It's still the main goal of every big pharmaceutical, or the combination of a strategic alliance between big pharmaceuticals and biotechs, or new biotechs. But on the other hand, you see, in my opinion, the list even growing and even getting longer. If you take two examples, the first one I'm thinking about is the platform the product in a pipeline business model. The product in a pipeline business model, where one molecule can lead to a number of medicines, new drugs on the market, bringing about revenues from different angles to the company. And the second one, and you already mentioned that one, is of course the ongoing and emerging artificial intelligence market, where the search for new molecules is now much more rapid, and can lead to a faster timeline towards the market. So those two business models, in my opinion, will be on the top of any list at this moment and in the near future. And if you think of the innovation cycles, everything is much
accelerated,
speedier, accelerated. So that also has a big influence, of course.
Yeah, of course. And so just before you start about European pharma struggling US tariffs and the latest updates that you mentioned, do you think that this uncertainty in general, and how, let's say, changing regulations or changing tariffs, are they impacting and creating new business models, or they are putting more pressure on the existing ones?
I think it's a question of pressure at this moment. One good example is if you look at stock exchange markets, New York Stock Exchange, Nasdaq, Euronext, Brussels, Amsterdam, Paris, where Euronext is currently. If you look at the number of initial public offerings, for example, there was a big fall in new IPOs. So there is a struggle in the market to find equity, to find new investors. And yes, the other side, the search for new and adapted business models, that is still ongoing, but it's like looking for the pot of gold, of course. There is a sentence in the literature and in the academic literature, but also in the real pharma world, that says there is no one size fits all. So the business model continues to evolve into the future, let's say.
Definitely, definitely. That's so true. So, and the objectives of the companies will also are changing, I think. So, I think that, for example, value creation may change also for them.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
the major issue is just how to attract more ventures to the companies. I was talking with someone, another specialist, and he said the big challenge today is just keeping the ventures or bringing more ventures for the investment and for the projects. So that's the major issue. So
Yeah.
so they have to think about the new ways of investment, attracting new investors. That's a big
Yeah.
issue.
And also the issue of sustainability, of course, it's playing a major role in current times. ESG, looking for shared value, solving big societal problems, referring to Mariana Mazzucato's moonshots. That also is influential in current times.
Definitely, definitely. That's so true. So today you're mostly talking about the impact of the tariffs on US on Europe, European pharma and biotechs, yeah, and
Yeah,
its
yeah.
innovation pace. Yes, please. Well, what do you want to share with us today? Thank you very much.
Yeah, mainly the VUCA world, as they call it, that we are living in. Everything has become uncertain, volatile, and complex. And if you look at the bottom line of things, economic uncertainty, geopolitical escalations, so many things happening in the world in the past years and currently, of course, not only the wars that are going on, but the economic disruption. We just came out of the COVID years, living in the post-COVID years. But the black swans that are out there and are emerging are hitting us in an even faster way, let's say. And on top of that, the election of President Trump as the new president of the United States, immediately coming to the world with a big number of executive orders and with his aggressive reciprocal tariff measures, that of course ignited lots of economic problems. One example, the supply chain uncertainties, disruption in the supply chain. Also thinking about sourcing in the highly skilled workers, not only in the United States but all over. The new way of policy by the Federal Drug Agency, the FDA. The ecosystem, the biopharma companies, the biotechs, and the whole innovation ecosystem is worried about the timeline in approving new medicines to the markets, or new treatments, new vaccines, new orphan drugs. So what will happen? What will happen there? And maybe the last one, yeah, we have Elon Musk, who is partnering with President Trump in the Doge ministry, the Department of Efficiency of Government, with the cutting of staff and the cutting of staff in connected agencies, and that also will probably have a big influence on the future. So if you look at
Definitely.
and those geopolitical challenges, yeah, you see a lot of deal making potentially out there, but also a lot of disruption in the deal making. And not only the combination between, or let's say the deal making and the partnerships between the United States and the European Union are at stake, but also the relationship with China. China as a strong, not a new entrant in the market, of course, but a strong competitor now in the market, with a high rate of innovation and of disruption. So all that combined can pose a number of issues for innovation and for the world economy as a whole, and of course for the drug prices on the market.
Yeah, yesterday, you have heard for sure that US and China, they said that they announced that they had a very fruitful
Yeah.
discussion and they have decided to
Mm.
reduce the tariffs on each other. So for 90 days, I think,
90
yeah, for
days.
90
Yeah.
days, yeah. So do you think that this will help or no, nothing really? Uncertainty is still there, and still,
Yeah.
the threat of the tariffs
Mm.
is still there.
That is the main issue. It's again a form of uncertainty because on day A it's like this, on day B it's like that, and on day C it changes. So
That's true.
you just have to look at the stock exchange and you see how things are going up, going down. It's
Mm-hmm.
like what we call a yo-yo effect.
Yeah.
It's constantly changing. It's really making the uncertainty and the complexity of things even bigger. And
Especially
that,
for investment and having long
yeah,
run projects.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
true.
So long projects that are out there and are
Mm-hmm.
in let's say in out there for the coming periods and the coming years, they are maybe put to a stop temporarily because the uncertainty is there and because there is no clarity about how U.S. policy or other policies are going for the
Mm-hmm.
next months or years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the timeline, yeah, becomes shorter, of course. And what you also see is that the potential impact on different regions is very high. If you take the European Union, where, for example, my home country is really big in biotech,
Mm-hmm.
and we have a very large number of big pharma on Belgian soil. But there also there is a growing impact and a growing uncertainty and
Really?
complexity
Okay.
in how to deal with things.
Mm-hmm. I was checking on the website on the companies, let's say European companies like BioNTech. Yeah,
Mm,
that's the star of one of the stars of the COVID vaccine.
mm,
And I didn't see anything. They haven't said anything about the new tariffs,
mm,
how this may impact the trade with US because they're working with Pfizer, with lots of other, let's say, other companies for innovating on
mm,
research, etc. Nothing. I didn't
mm.
find anything, any
Yeah,
statement, any interview
mm,
about it, and I
yeah.
found it somehow strange. Have you heard about? Do you have the reaction of the Belgian biotech hub
Mm,
towards this new
mm.
tariffs?
Yeah, that is again the uncertainty that is out there, and I will give you an example from another but connected industry shortly. Um, those companies are, of course, still thinking about what position to take because they know that the situation is so uncertain. Trump is talking about bringing back production to the United States instead of Europe. We saw that when he was inaugurated, a number of CEOs of the big tech companies were present there and were already changing their attitudes towards certain policy measures. The pharma industry was hesitating about taking a position. But if you look to, for example, the microelectronics industry and the industry of the example of the Dutch company ASML, they quickly came and already a year ago or maybe already 2 years ago with a position paper about how to go about the near future and
Mm-hmm.
the uncertainties that are out there geopolitically and in the
Mm-hmm.
world economy. So yeah, it's probably time to take a position from an industry point of view because things are changing so quickly and are still so uncertain. And even this morning or last night, let's say, if we are in the United States time zone, there was a message from President Trump on his social media platform, Truth Social, where he announced that he will sign a new executive order on lowering prices for prescription drugs and pharmaceuticals. So with again impact on the rest of the world and on other regions. So again, igniting new uncertainties for the global economy and for the interaction with the European Union, with China. On the other hand, as you mentioned, the talks that he had with China on putting to a stop for 90 days the tariff barriers with China, and so it's a combination of things always that is now
it's a
coming at
combination of
us.
things. Yeah. So maybe yes, new variants should be taken into account when we're talking about the new strategic world. About the new business strategy.
Yeah.
The older, I think, the older elements, they are not together, they are not functioning as they used to be. So we have to define a whole new equation just to describe all of these new business models, etc. Should I go to the next slide?
They call it the checks and balances are no longer in the system. So it's always it's constantly disrupting at this moment. And yes, when you switch to this slide here, you see, and this was in the economic news in the past weeks, the reshoring of production to the United States, incentives to do that, and you saw a number of, maybe you can call them like a form of panic announcements by a number of big pharma companies who immediately were responding with news about putting in big budgets to bring the production facilities to the United States. Also European companies, by the way, like Roche and Novartis. But we know that in this industry, you can say that you will be reshoring production, but it doesn't happen in an instant. It takes a lot of time.
How long does it take normally?
It will take years, because there is GMP, like the good manufacturing practices. There is like inspections
QBD. Quality by design.
Yeah, the quality approvals, inspections that will have to take place. You will have to build the production facilities and the lines to produce the drugs. So it's easy to say it, we will do it like this, but it's not that easy to bring it into practice and into production that is out there to start producing and to start selling. Yeah.
Okay.
Again, uncertainty.
Yeah, and it is easier for the big pharma to do so, but not for the biotech
not for the young and the new biotechs. Yeah. Again, in former times, we learned about a lot of strategic alliances and partnerships between those big pharma and between the biotechs. But in the current economic updates, you don't read a lot about new alliances. So there again, you see how things are being disrupted.
Okay.
And the same in this slide, of course. Yeah, the time pressure to bring your new inventions and your molecules and your drugs to the market. Thinking about the patents timeline, when you are out of competition and for 20 or 27 years you are in charge of things. But the longer it takes to come to the market, the quicker you eat up a big part of that timeline of your patent. So and only a number of years remain to recoup your investment and to and when I was talking about the blockbuster model, to bring those $1 billion into your company and potentially to use that to reinvest and for new research and development, of course. And that is where the market access for the United States is so important, because of the high level of the prices and the size of the market.
Of course, and the pricing, as you mentioned, that so pricing is also impacted since last night, as you mentioned. Yeah, so pricing in the US will be impacted, and it will impact other pricing all around the world, definitely. Okay, so you wanted to say something about this price gap problem between US and EU?
As we see here, also the market access, the speed on to the market, the speed to the market is traditionally much quicker in the United States than in Europe, and getting the approval. We tend to see that when EU companies have a product filed with the FDA, the market authorization tends to be slower than for US companies. In my opinion, there should be more research done on that one. But the same for the fragmentation of negotiations. The US is one market, but the EU is a market of 27, of course. And even with the UK out of the EU, there is still a connection with the UK. You could still call it 28 at a certain moment. But the fragmentation of those negotiations and the combination with the speed to the market, that poses a big problem, of course.
Do you think, I have a question just because we are talking about the impact of the tariffs. Do you think that even we talked about the impact of AI and accelerated innovation, new technology platforms that disrupt everything, disrupt the innovation process and procedure. So nowadays, companies, industries, they have a lot to use just to accelerate, to bring a new treatment or a new vaccine to the market in comparison to 10 years ago. I'm talking, okay? So, but do you think at the same time, geopolitical issues like tariffs or other uncertainty can also impact these, let's say, access to the market, or let's say reaching to the market for the innovative products, can delay reaching them to the market? What do you think about it?
I'm convinced that there will be a delay in the market access.
An extra delay, you want to say?
Yeah, an extra delay. Certainly for, let's take the example of orphan drugs. We know from the past that the prices are very, very high. Some say excessive high, but getting those rare medicines and orphan drugs to the market will be an extra problem, in my opinion. Also, the combination with new emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, quantum computing, bringing about extra cost for the companies, not only the young but also the existing. That combination will be a big issue in the coming years.
And so instead of solving problems, these new technology are creating other new problems.
Adding to the range of problems. And let me just take my notes here. I was also thinking in preparation of this talk to the generic drugs, of course, that
definitely.
are there also problems are out there. So but in the former slide, the presence of China and the growing presence of China in the world pharmaceutical ecosystem, that is of course a major issue to look at and to do more research about, because China is and will be a major player in the world ecosystem. India growing and emerging, but China with the speed of innovation, with AI, with quantum computing, with clinical trials, with having hundreds of thousands of engineers out there, doctorates, PhDs out there. So and then, like you say, India as a big emerging region. Also thinking about the APIs, of course,
Of course.
the active pharmaceutical
Yeah.
ingredients that are mostly coming from those regions, from
Yeah,
China,
from
from
India.
India,
India is the
from
pharmacy of the
Singapore.
world. It is,
Yeah.
it's known that,
So,
yeah.
and that is what we need to bring the new medicines and the new drugs to the market, of course.
So, but when I listen to you and by reading all of those news that are interrelated, I guess that the polarization of innovators in pharma and biotech industry is still today something of a huge importance. And even by democratization of AI and access to new technologies, is still, I think that it's more because of the geopolitical issues, it's more polarized now, the world of innovation for new treatments and vaccines. Is it true?
More polarized than ever, I would say. Maybe we can even say that the EU is stuck in the middle.
Okay. It's still in the middle, it's not that bad, I think, because it can choose to advance, to progress, to become one of those mostly polarized that who just, produce more innovation. It can become a real hub of innovation. So it all depends, how do they react?
They need to speed up. They need to, as it says here in this closing slide, they need to value innovation. They need to speed up, close down the long timelines, get faster approvals, faster to the market. A lot of work to be done by EU policy to speed up things and to really make big deals in the market and to grasp their part of the world market, let's say, and not stay stuck in the middle of things now between the United States and China.
Yes, and developing more collaboration among the EU members. Yes,
of course.
Innovative collaboration between academia and also industry, biotech and pharma. So a lot can be done, hopefully.
A lot can be done. And it's good that you say the triple helix thinking, the ecosystem build up of partnering between governments and universities, research, and private industry, of course, and the representative organizations. That is so important, not only for deal making, but to bring progress and innovation about. And for the good of the patients out there, of course.
Of course, yes. For the sustainability of the healthcare in the society, of course. Definitely. So it is 30 minutes. I think we discussed even more than 30 minutes today, as it was a schedule. Thank you very much for your participation in this fabulous discussion. We learned a lot. I'll write a text so to add it to social media for sharing it again. Thank you very much. We have to continue this discussion in, let's say, in 1 month. Probably we will have another webinar just to see what has happened, and what are the directions, orientations that industry have taken, to anticipate or just to react.
Okay. Happy to help, and thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Success.
It was a great pleasure and great honor. Have a nice afternoon. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.